Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking a really foundational document for the accountancy profession in Nepal. It's the Nepal Chartered Accountants Act, 2053.
And it sounds maybe a bit dry, an act, but it's actually crucial.
Exactly. It's not just legal text. It's basically the blueprint for how Nepal builds trust and, quality in its financial reporting. It came into full effect, mid-2002? And it really reshaped the whole landscape for accountants there.
Completely.
So our mission today is to understand its core purpose, the powerful institution it created, ICAN, and how it impacts, everyone relying on financial info in Nepal. We're drawing directly from a pretty detailed set of notes on this act.
And I think what's crucial to grasp here is the bigger story. This act represents a huge step for Nepal.
Right.
It's about the nation actively moving from an older, maybe less formalized system to a really robust, accountable framework. And this is for a profession that's just vital to its economic development.
Yeah.
It's actually a fascinating case study in building that kind of professional infrastructure.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
Yeah.
What was the driving force? Why did Nepal need a specific act just for chartered accountants back then?
Well, at its heart, the Act 2053, it sought to achieve several really critical goals.
Right?
First and foremost, it aimed to establish a dedicated body, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nepal. You mentioned ICAN.
ICAN, right.
And this wasn't just about, creating another organization. It was about centralizing authority and professional development.
Makes sense.
Second, it really wanted to elevate the profession itself, make sure the public understood its importance, had faith in it, recognizing the significant economic and social responsibilities accountants carry.
Yeah, that public trust piece is huge.
It is. Thirdly, and very directly, it was designed to contribute to the country's overall economic growth.
Okay.
And finally, it was about nurturing the profession itself, protecting its integrity, promoting its growth, and making sure accountants really embraced their crucial role.
So why is this important to you, our listener, whether you're in Nepal or, anywhere else?
Right.
Because ultimately it boils down to building a system where financial information is trustworthy.
Exactly.
And that foundational trust, that affects every aspect of a nation's economy, right? From attracting investment to making sure local businesses are transparent.
Couldn't agree more. That trust underpins so much.
That makes perfect sense. So when did this pivotal act actually start? When did it begin to transform the existing accounting landscape? What was the immediate shift?
Okay, so it officially kicked off in July 2002.
Right.
And from that moment, two critical changes took effect pretty much immediately. One, new audits required a professional certificate from ICAN.
Oh, okay.
And two, the old Auditors Act, the one from 2031, was repealed. Done.
So no gradual phase out for the existing folk.
No, it was quite a clear and immediate transition. Now, those auditors who were recognized under the old system, they were initially considered recognized under the new act.
Okay, a bit of a grace period?
Sort of, but with a catch, and this was a key strategic move. They were given a strict 6-month window.
Only 6 months.
Yep, just 6 months to formally apply for ICAN membership. If they missed that deadline, that was it. They couldn't continue practicing under the new framework.
Wow. What's fascinating about that is the clear line in the sand it drew. It wasn't just a suggestion, it was a mandate. Every existing professional had to formalize their standing under this new unified body.
Exactly. It ensured everyone was brought into the new structure quickly, decisively, no ambiguity.
Okay, so this act established ICAN, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nepal. Can you paint a picture for us? What is ICAN? What are its fundamental characteristics, its goals?
Right. So ICAN was created specifically to develop and, crucially, oversee the accountancy profession in Nepal. Think of it as a professional powerhouse.
Okay.
Legally, it's an autonomous body. Now, what that means is it has its own legal identity separate from its members.
Right, it can stand on its own.
Precisely. It can make its own decisions, own property, even sue or be sued in its own name. This gives it significant independence and authority.
And where is it based?
The head office is in Kathmandu Valley. But, importantly, it has the flexibility to set up branches and training centers across Nepal as needed. It shows its national reach.
So it wasn't just a Kathmandu thing.
Not at all. Now, initially, there was a temporary ad hoc council put in place just to get things moving.
Right, to handle the transition.
Exactly. Conduct the first elections for the permanent governing body, the council. Once that was done, the ad hoc council dissolved.
And the permanent council took over.
Yes. And its primary objective, once fully operational, became multifaceted. It acts as the central regulatory body, ensuring members stick to a strong code of conduct.
The ethical side.
Very much so. It also works to raise public awareness, appreciation for the profession's importance, and it continuously develops and promotes the profession itself.
And what about standards?
A major goal, definitely. Ensuring Nepal's accountancy standards for registration, qualifications, exams are aligned with international best practices. That global respect is key.
That's a broad and powerful mandate, which, thinking about it, raises an important question for our listener. What kind of actual power does this autonomous body wield to achieve all these ambitious objectives?
That's a great question, and the answer lies with its governing body.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The council is the executive arm of ICAN, essentially its board of directors.
Yeah.
How is it structured? And what are its vast responsibilities in actually shaping the profession?
The council is designed to be broadly representative, which is smart.
How so?
Well, it's primarily composed of members elected by chartered accountants and registered auditors.
So the profession governs itself largely.
Exactly. It ensures the profession has a strong voice in its own governance. But additionally, the government nominates a few experienced individuals.
Providing some external oversight.
Precisely, adds a layer of external oversight and expertise. Councilors serve a 3-year term, and they can be re-elected or renominated, which allows for some continuity.
Makes sense. And the leadership.
The top spots, chairperson and vice chairperson, are elected from within the council, specifically from the senior FCA members. They serve 1-year terms.
Promotes leadership rotation, I guess.
That seems to be the idea. And there are very clear rules for when a counselor might have to leave office, things like resignation, missing too many meetings, not upholding the code of conduct. Accountability is built in.
Okay, accountability, representation.
Right.
But what about the actual powers? What can the council do?
Right. This is where ICAN's influence truly manifests. The council has extensive authority over pretty much everything related to professional development and regulation.
Like what specifically?
Well, educationally, they conduct all the examinations. They determine who qualifies for membership, who gets a professional certificate. They set the curriculum, the practical training requirements.
The whole pipeline.
The whole pipeline. They also run programs to enhance member skills, career development, guidance. Regulate O'Reilly, they monitor how members adhere to that professional code of conduct we mentioned.
And enforce it.
Yes, they take action when rules are broken. They also ensure adherence to the national accounting and auditing standards issued by those independent boards we'll touch on later.
Okay. What else?
They also played a crucial advocacy role,
How so?
advising the government on financial and commercial laws, and they're responsible for ICAN's international relations like membership in global bodies, IFAC, for example.
Wow. Okay. And day-to-day running.
Administratively, yeah. They approve ICAN's budget, manage its funds, appoint staff, ensure continuous professional education, CPE, is available. They even develop systems for accounting technicians.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? The council isn't just some admin body ticking boxes.
Not at all.
It's the ultimate authority shaping the entire accountancy profession in Nepal. From setting the bar for entry, to defining ethical conduct, to ensuring international standards are met. It's a truly comprehensive governing body. It holds significant power over who practices and how.
Absolutely. It's the engine room of the profession.
Given all that power and oversight, how does someone actually become a member of this institute? Are there different routes, different classes of members?
Right. First, there are clear criteria for who cannot be a member. Basic fitness stuff, really. You need to be over 21, not insolvent, no serious criminal convictions involving moral turpitude, that kind of thing.
Standard professional gatekeeping.
Pretty much. Then ICAN has 2 main classes of members, chartered accountants, CAs, and registered auditors, RAs.
CA and RA. So.
And within both those classes, members can either hold a certificate of practice, which allows them to actually perform audits, or not.
Got it. So some members might work in industry, not public practice.
Exactly. Now, historically, before this act, things were different. Auditors were licensed directly by the Auditor General's office. They had different classes, A, B, C, D.
The old system.
The old system. With the new act, 2053, that was replaced. All those existing registered auditors were required to apply for ICAN membership within that 6-month window. That was the big transition.
Okay, so how does someone become a CA today?
The primary path now is passing ICAN's rigorous CA examination. And crucially, completing intensive practical training, often called articleship.
Like an apprenticeship.
Essentially, yeah, usually a long-term placement in an accounting firm. There's also a route for those with foreign CA qualifications, say from India's ICAI.
Can they just transfer?
Not automatically. They usually need to pass an ICAN examination and complete some minimum internship in Nepal to ensure they understand the local context, laws, environment.
Makes sense. And the RA membership.
RA membership today is largely populated by those auditors who transition from the old system, the BC or D-class auditors.
So it's more of a legacy category?
To some extent, yes, though the Act allows for potential upgrades based on experience and meeting criteria. There's also a higher designation, Fellow Chartered Accountant, or FCA.
FCA.
Yeah, granted to CAs with at least 5 years of experience in the field. It recognizes seniority and contribution.
Okay. And the application process itself? Straightforward.
Relatively. You submit your documents, pay the fees to the ICAN Council. If you're eligible, they register you, issue a membership certificate.
And then you're in for life.
Not quite. Members have to keep ICAN updated on their practice status, address changes, and membership can be revoked for serious reasons: fraud, misconduct, not paying fees, things like that.
Is there a way back if you're removed?
Yes, there's a path to re-registration. You need a reasonable ground, pay extra fees, fulfill any missed professional development requirements like CPE credit hours.
And renewals.
Membership is renewed annually. You pay fees within 60 days of the new fiscal year. There are late fees. And if you go beyond 180 days without renewing, your membership is canceled. It emphasizes ongoing commitment.
Wow, that detailed breakdown really shows how the Act set up this clear, structured, and pretty rigorous pathway. It's all about building trust in the title CA or RA.
Exactly. Standardization and rigor build that trust.
So, beyond just being a member, you mentioned this special certificate of practice, the COP. You said it's vital for auditing. What exactly is that, and why is it so critical?
Right, the COP. Think of it as the specific license to audit.
The gate pass, you called it.
The gate pass, exactly. Any ICAN member, CA or RA, who wants to offer auditing services to the public must get the certificate from ICAN.
It's not automatic with membership.
No, it's a separate application. It signifies they meet the specific conditions the council sets for practicing public accountancy, and the council has significant oversight here.
In what way?
Not just in granting the COP, but they can also issue a specific code of conduct just for COP holders. Stricter rules, potentially.
And renewal. Same as membership.
Similar, yes.
Gotcha.
Needs annual renewal, normal fees within 60 days, a late fee after that, and cancellation after 180 days of non-renewal. Consistency.
Can it be taken away? Suspended or canceled?
Oh, definitely. A COP can be suspended due to disciplinary actions, maybe if the member requests it, or, crucially, if they haven't completed their required continued professional education, their CPE hours.
So continuous learning is mandatory for practice.
Absolutely. It can also be canceled altogether if it was obtained fraudulently, or if the member's main membership is revoked, or even if the COP holder starts engaging in a totally unrelated profession while holding the audit license.
Right, you have to be focused on accountancy. This really highlights the exclusive nature of auditing under this Act. Basically, no COP, no audit.
Pretty much. The only exception being the Auditor General's Office, which operates under its own specific mandate.
Got it.
And here's where it gets really interesting again, connecting back to those old RA classes. The Act sets specific ceilings, financial limits, on the size and complexity of audits that different classes of professionals can perform.
Oh, really? How does that work?
Well, chartered accountants, the CAs, they're at the COP. They have unlimited authority. They can audit any organization, regardless of size.
Okay, unlimited for CAs.
But for registered auditors, the RAs, there are clear tiers based on their old classification. A B-class RA can audit companies with, say, turnover or assets up to Rs 1 arba 20 crores.
Which is roughly?
About 12 million US dollars, give or take. A C-class RA, their limit is Rs 30 crores, maybe 3 million USD. And a D-class RA up to R6 crores, around 600,000 USD.
So the scope is limited based on their designation.
Precisely. Even accounting technicians, who we'll touch on, they have a limit, often around Rs 20 crores, for certain types of work.
That's quite specific.
It is. And what it means is the Act strategically links an auditor's recognized expertise and experience directly to the scale of the financial oversight they can provide. The council can even upgrade an RA's class if they meet certain conditions, allowing them to take on bigger audits.
That tiered system is incredibly clever, actually.
It is, isn't it?
It directly links capability to complexity. It's a fantastic way to build trust and ensure competence across the entire profession, from small business audits to major corporations.
Exactly. Matching the skill to the task.
Okay, so beyond just getting the license, the COP, how does ICAN ensure the ongoing quality, the ethical behavior, and the development of its professionals once they're members?
Right. This is where ICANN's commitment to continuous improvement really shows. It's not just about entry standards.
What mechanisms are in place?
Well, first, the council is responsible for setting educational standards, designing curricula, conducting exams, not just for CAs, but also for accounting technicians.
And they do this in isolation?
No, absolutely not. They actively consult with universities in Nepal. And importantly, they look outwards, too, to international accountancy bodies to make sure their standards are current, globally relevant.
Can they recognize foreign qualifications?
Yes, with government approval, they can recognize exams and training from respected foreign institutions like IKI in India or ICAEW in the UK. It promotes mobility and maintains high standards.
Okay, that covers the educational side. What about running ICAN itself?
Operationally, a key figure is the executive director, or ED.
The CEO, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. The chief executive. Appointed by the council, the ED manages the day-to-day business budget prep accounts, keeping that all-important member register updated. They need accountancy experience and report to the council.
Got it. And I remember you mentioning committees earlier.
Yes, the council relies heavily on a structured system of committees. This really speaks to ICANN's comprehensive approach to self-governance.
What kinds of committees?
There are standing committees, permanent ones focused on core functions. Think disciplinary committee, examination committee, executive committee, professional guidance, the essentials.
Okay, the core operations.
Then there's a whole range of other specialized committees addressing critical areas like ethics, IT and accounting, financial reporting review, even committees focused on specific member groups like women leaders or members working in industry.
Wow, that's extensive.
It is. There's even a rule that members generally can't be on multiple committees, ensuring focus. This intricate structure highlights ICANN's commitment to managing every facet of the profession. It's a very detailed governance model.
That deep dive into the committee structure definitely points to a highly organized approach. Given all this structure, what exactly are the ethical standards everyone's expected to uphold? What defines professional integrity here?
The code of conduct is absolutely fundamental. It's the bedrock of public trust.
What are some key points?
Well, members must adhere strictly to the Act and its rules, obviously. But specifically, for instance, an auditor cannot partner with someone who doesn't hold a professional certificate. That maintains the standard.
In sense. What else?
No sharing audit fees or giving commissions to non-members. You can't use intimidation or undue influence to get business. And a huge one, confidentiality.
Yeah.
Information you get during business must be kept secret unless the law compels disclosure.
Right. Client confidentiality is key.
Absolutely. Furthermore, COP holders, the practicing auditors, must personally review and verify financial reports or ensure their partner or employee does. Diligence is required.
What about conflicts of interest?
If an auditor has any financial interest in the organization they're auditing, even just being a shareholder, it must be clearly disclosed in their audit report. Transparency is paramount.
Okay.
They're also obligated to highlight any material issues or point out false information in financial statements they certify. They have to perform duties carefully, flag non-compliance with laws or auditing principles.
And their fees?
Cannot be contingent on profits or results. That would compromise independence. No percentage deals.
Right.
They also can't knowingly give false info to government offices. And there's a cooling off period. You can't audit an organization you just left as an employee for at least 3 years.
Prevents awkward situations, I imagine.
Exactly. And finally, they must ensure they were properly appointed before starting an audit and always gather enough evidence before issuing an opinion. Due process and due diligence.
That's a very detailed and, frankly, rigorous set of ethical guidelines. It really emphasizes the depth of accountability expected.
It has to be. The credibility of the entire financial system relies on it.
So, if these extensive rules are broken, what's the process? How is accountability ensured, and what are the consequences for members and maybe even non-members?
Right. Enforcement is crucial. For ICANN members, the process usually starts in one of two ways. Either someone files a formal complaint,
Anyone?
Any person, yes. Or the executive director can initiate action if they believe there's been a breach of the code.
Okay, then what?
The complaint goes to the disciplinary committee we mentioned. They investigate. It functions almost like a quasi-judicial body.
How so?
They notify the accused member, allow for responses from both sides, can demand documents, summon witnesses, gather evidence. They have powers similar to a court for the investigation phase.
Thorough.
Yes. After their investigation, the committee submits a report with recommendations for action to the main council.
And the council decides.
The council makes the final decision, but importantly, the accused member gets another chance to defend themselves before the council makes that final call. Natural justice principles.
And the penalties. What can the council actually do?
Depending on the severity, penalties can range from a simple reprimand, like a warning,
A slap on the wrist.
sometimes, or it could be removing them from membership for up to 5 years, or prohibiting them from practicing accountancy for a specific period, or, for the most serious offenses, canceling their professional certificate or even their entire membership permanently.
So serious consequences are possible.
Definitely. And for other general violations of the Act or rules, members could face suspension, fines, even potentially imprisonment in some cases outlined in the Act. There's generally a time limit, though investigations usually don't happen for things older than 3 years unless it's very serious or requested by a government body.
Okay, that covers members. What about non-members? Can they be penalized under this act?
Yes, the Act includes provisions for non-members too, handled by the courts. For example, making a baseless complaint just to harass a member can lead to a fine.
Discourages frivolous complaints.
Exactly. Illegally using ICANN's name or logo also carries fines and potentially imprisonment for repeat offenses. And crucially, auditing without a cop or falsely signing documents as if you had one, those carry potentially significant fines and imprisonment.
So the act protects the designation and the practice itself.
It has to. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these detailed disciplinary processes and the potential for severe penalties really underscore how seriously the profession's integrity is viewed. It's about protecting the public and reinforcing that vital trust in financial reporting.
Absolutely. And you mentioned standards boards earlier. How do they fit in?
Right, vital piece. Beyond ICANN's internal processes, there are 2 independent bodies set up by the government of Nepal: the Accounting Standards Board, ASB, and the Auditing Standards Board, ASB.
Separate from ICAN.
Yes,
Right.
formed by the government, though ICANN plays a role in recommending members. Their purpose is to systematize and regulate financial reporting, ASB, and auditing practices, ASB, across the country.
Who sits on these boards?
They're composed of experienced CAs, often nominated via ICANN, plus representatives from key government bodies, Ministry of Finance, Auditor General's Office, Company Registrar, Inland Revenue, Securities Board. A mix of professional and regulatory perspectives.
And their job.
Their core function is to develop, issue, amend, interpret, and promote adherence to Nepal accounting standards, NFR SNAS, and Nepal standards on auditing, NSA. They base these heavily on international standards like IFRS and ISA, adapting them for the Nepalese context.
So they ensure Nepal stays aligned globally.
That's a key part of it. These independent boards are absolutely critical for ensuring Nepalese accounting and auditing practices remain robust, consistent, and globally aligned, continuously evolving with best practices.
That makes sense. Okay, finally, we also saw a category mentioned for accounting technicians. What exactly is this role? How does it fit into this structured professional landscape?
Good question. The accounting technician, or AT role, provides another defined pathway within the broader accountancy spectrum. It's designed for individuals who might not pursue the full intensive CA qualification, but still want formal recognition for their skills in accounting support roles.
So like a mid-level qualification.
Exactly. To register, one usually needs to have passed a certain level of the CA exams, like the foundation level, or hold a relevant university degree, maybe in management or commerce.
And what does it take to become a certified AT?
Beyond registration, they need to pass a specific AT examination set by ICAN. There are exemptions if they've already passed higher CA levels. They also need IT training, practical experience, usually around 18 months, though less if they've done CA articleship and a professional skills development program.
What kind of things do they learn?
The course covers essential areas like advanced accounting, management accounting, basics of auditing and assurance, corporate law fundamentals, and taxation. It equips them for roles requiring solid practical accounting skills, but maybe not the high-level strategic or complex audit judgment expected of a CA.
So this creates a clearly defined pathway for professionals at different levels.
Precisely. It strengthens the overall profession by ensuring a broad base of qualified individuals, properly trained and regulated, to support Nepal's financial ecosystem at various tiers.
So what does this all really mean? We've just navigated a pretty comprehensive deep dive into the Nepal Chartered Accountants Act, 2053. And I think it's clear this isn't just some dry set of rules.
Not at all.
It's the very scaffolding, isn't it? The framework upon which a transparent and trustworthy financial system is meticulously built in Nepal.
Exactly. And we've uncovered several core pillars today, haven't we? The establishment of ICAN as that autonomous self-governing body. The council's really broad powers spanning education, regulation, discipline, the stringent standards for getting in and staying in for membership and practice.
And that detailed code of conduct.
Backed by robust enforcement, yeah. All these elements, they work together collectively to foster public trust and professional excellence. It really lays the groundwork for sound economic development.
And for you, our listener, I hope some key aha moments stood out. That significant historical shift moving from an older, maybe fragmented system to this modern, centralized regulatory body.
That transition was key.
And those specific tiered limits on auditing authority based on professional class, that was fascinating.
Linking skill to scope.
And of course, those incredibly detailed processes for ensuring ethical conduct and accountability. It's a real testament to building a resilient financial backbone for the country.
It really illustrates a critical, sometimes overlooked aspect of national infrastructure, doesn't it? How a well-crafted legal framework like this act actually creates and sustains a vital profession, ensuring its integrity and its indispensable contribution to economic growth.
Absolutely. So let's leave our listeners with a final thought. Given this meticulous structure of the Nepal Chartered Accountants Act, how do you think global economic shifts, or emerging technologies like AI in auditing, or even changes in international trade agreements,
Sure.
how might these forces necessitate future amendments to such foundational laws? And what new challenges or maybe opportunities might this present for professional bodies like ICAN going forward?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How does a solid framework adapt?
Something to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of professional accountancy regulation in Nepal. We'll see you next time.